Hello, welcome back to Aether. This is Satomi and Paul from sakaso.ca. Beautiful day outside, sunny, warm, not too hot, so that's perfect. So, thank you for joining us. Today we are continuing a conversation about ideal relationship through self-awareness. That's part 2. So, you want to start, but you want to cover some stuff?
Well, yeah, I mean, as always, questions and comments are always welcome, so please join the conversation. Last week, we started off on this particular thread of going into relationship and how awareness is the key to that, about successful relationship, right? So we had a really good conversation about how you've been my model in a lot of ways for how to create good relationship. I mean, sure, I did lots of background work, that kind of stuff on my own before we met each other, but you've helped me shift things to a higher state of awareness, and that's made a big difference because my past relationships were very dysfunctional, right? And there was, because of the pain I went through and the all that kind of stuff, I had leftover anger and trauma and all that kinds of stuff. And that was kind of invading our space, our relationship, right? And so you took it upon yourself to, in the gentlest way I can imagine anybody doing it, in spite of the fact, we did have our moments, right? To help me become aware of that and to heal from it, right? And we used our process. We used our sakaso process to help me heal from it, right? So that's part of how it got created, right? But one of the things that really kind of stands out is that I was in this dynamic of, I was always basically a pretty aware guy, right? But there was the stuff that I was blind to because of what I went through. I couldn't see it because I was too close to it, that kind of stuff. So negative relationships that I had where people would, walk over me, basically, that kind of thing. So I wasn't able to establish good boundaries, or I would perceive certain behaviors in you. I would misinterpret them, and I would take it personally, and I would get angry, right? So I wouldn't be aware of the fact that I was holding on to that anger, or I wasn't aware of the state of anxiety that I was always in that led to that anger, right? And
you were saying like you were very aware person, but that conscious thought was blinding you.
So in a sense, yes, but in a sense, no, right?
What do you mean?
Well, I wasn't aware of the anxiety, right? So and that
you
set me up.
Aware of your feelings, deep down feeling. All those things you think you are aware, and that is really, you can say hazard, yellow light. Like if people say, "No, I'm an aware person," this is not good. That's
what I mean is, like, I didn't come into our relationship thinking that it's you're here to make me happy. End of story, right? I wasn't kind of in that place.
So
right?
partially, some part you are aware, some part you are not. That's everybody is that way. So, and then you cannot really measure this person is this much aware, and this and not this part. It's not aware. It's kind of roughly you can say, but everybody is different, and you cannot really measure how aware you are. how aware you think you are is usually wrong, because you only know the part that you are aware. You never know that part you're not aware.
That's
So-
the problem, right? Because
so,
it's
yeah.
circular. Because like
So you think you're aware?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, because you're not aware of that part that you are not aware.
Mhm,
And then if you say you're aware,
mhm,
you're not aware that you have that part that you're not aware. So
Mhm.
that leads to you that you're not aware
Mhm.
person.
that could be for different reasons. It could be just that you don't value certain things,
Mhm.
right? So you don't put any effort there. You
Mhm.
value certain other things, like maybe I could like analyze or value my ability to analyze and the situation,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Sure, that's great, but if you don't also have some intuition that comes into the picture,
Mhm.
you're imbalanced, right?
Mhm.
So that could be one of the reasons, or it could be that you're like you said, there's a gap because a past trauma, right?
Mhm.
All those kinds of things, right? So there can be many reasons for why we have these blind spots,
Mhm.
and that sets us up to interact with other people in a way that's not good,
Mhm.
right? Not the best, and leads to a lot of hard feelings.
Mhm.
So I was hoping to. So we talked last week about how having that awareness is so important, and then making choices. Right? Can you kind of summarize last week just a little bit? 'Cause I don't want to go back in there too much, but on what we covered. But we'll go from there.
Yeah, like we talked about this many times. That we always have a choice to go this way or choice to go that way. Always, every time that we go into a situation, every single time we have a choice. How many 35,000 choices we make a day?
Yeah, I think it's
35,000 choices we make in every day. We make a choice, every single of them. We do. Even you think that, oh, I have to do this, I have no choice, you're usually making a choice. And then so that's the not next week, the last week focus was be aware that you always have choices toward everything. And then being aware of that is a really, really important step. Okay, you have a choice to get mad, or you have a choice to stay calm. You have a choice.
And we've talked about that. And so if you're not aware of that one, I just want to mention that because it's so important. If you haven't watched the episodes before, we've talked about how anger is choice. Because it's very common in our culture to say that this person's making me so mad. Just if you haven't seen that, please watch it. Because I don't know which one it is, honestly. But we haven't indexed any of our episodes. But so basically, it's a choice we make to become angry in order to deal with the situation in a way to try to get the outcome we want. We're trying to manipulate the situation to our advantage. And it's always based on what? Where does anger come from? Fear. So under the anger is always fear. We're always afraid of something bad is happening. So we decide to try to stop it from happening. So we decide to get angry. So there's that just by itself, that's an important aspect of relationship, is owning that awareness of how something like an emotion of anger, resentment is the same thing, frustration, the same thing, all those kinds of related emotions. In fact, every negative emotion, always underneath it, it's motivated by fear. We're afraid of something bad happening, so we get angry to try to stop it from happening. Or afraid of something that happened, or we don't want something bad that happened in the past to happen again, resentment, right? That kind of thing. So those kinds of things, that's just, I just wanted, sorry about that sidetrack, but that's a really key one it's having that ownership over the choice that's such a key part of relationship as well. Ownership, or being aware of our feelings, of our motivations. So I'll just put that up here. I've got that here somewhere.
Yeah, like choices to go to work.
Yeah.
We talked about it. I have to go to work. No, you have a choice not to go to work. You're not choosing that because you want money, because you don't want to lose a house, because you need to buy groceries, because all those things you are choosing. It's not like you don't have a choice. There's a choice and then you're choosing, and being aware of that choice and you actually making a choice, that empowers you, that brings the control back to you, instead of life is controlling you and you have no choice. You just have to follow this path that life takes you, right? Just going like this and zombie. No, you own it.
Pretty good zombie impression.
You own it, and then as soon as you own it, okay, I am making a choice to go to work because I want to stay in this house, right? I want to eat. I want to feed my family. I want to go out and have fun. So those things, all those things I want to do, because of those things, I'm making a choice to go to work.
We are making a choice.
Yeah.
Just emphasizing that is
I'm
so important
making
to
a
everything.
choice, right?
So
So
there's ownership there.
when you come back to that, and then you own your life, right? Instead of life owning you and just showing some stuff, and then you just have to going like this. No, you become you, and you have the power, and then you can use that power. That's why being aware that you always have a choice is really important. Right? So that's what we were focusing last night.
Yeah,
that
week.
My days and weeks and next week and last week and last whatever that day that we covered. Yeah.
So that's that, and we talked about that, and we talked about that in relation to the kids and to your partner, that kind of thing. I wanted to break that down a little more, so that, and maybe talk about some more examples.
Okay.
Because what we're outlining there is something that it took me a long time to figure out, to really get it, to really grok what you were talking about, to have it in me as part of me. It takes time because it's such a different way of looking at things, because when I was younger, people were making me angry, right? So and
you have to go to school.
Yeah.
You have to do homework.
Yeah.
You have to do chores.
Yeah.
Right.
And when people are making me angry, I'm justified in being angry back and trying and fighting them and all this kind of stuff, right? It's a very different way of looking at things. And I didn't understand the connection to the sadness part of me and all that kind of stuff. I went through those depressions and everything. So and that's absolutely connected to all this stuff too. So let's maybe talk a little bit more about some examples. If one pops into your head, go ahead, go run with it. So and I know we talked about when I'm working, and we've talked in past episodes of our show, we've also talked about when I'm working, for example, because I do work a lot. In the past, much more so, I've been sort of working in a state of anxiety that has to do with the PTSD. I wasn't aware of it, right? So there was a blind spot, and that anxiety is fear, and that set me up in a state where I was vulnerable so that when you behave a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
like you would want to stay away from me
Mm-hmm.
because you could sense what was going to happen
Mm-hmm.
by interacting with me,
Mm-hmm.
that I was already ready to trigger into anger
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of thing, right? So I was I had a mouse trap all ready to go. I just needed a mouse to come in the room and share it with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've also been sad at times, right? So what do you do? What do you do when? So basically, I had to raise my awareness to get out of that state, to prevent getting into that place, and diffuse it to begin with. So that's been a healing process for me.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about that before. But then what about like if I'm sad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that happens from time to time.
So
I'm down.
not angry but sad.
Yeah.
So
What about that one?
So when I feel sad.
No, when
you feel sad, and what
sad,
do I do?
Yeah. How do you deal with this situation, this challenge?
So
from
it's
your partner?
not me, but your partner feeling
yeah,
sad.
Yeah.
So it depends,
Okay.
right? Where sadness is coming from.
It's not my natural tendency anymore. The natural tendency
Right.
is the anger one. That's why we talked about it. But
sadness simply you. Like let's say you lost a family member, you're sad, or you're sad because you couldn't get this job that you were trying to get, or you're sad because you have some physical issue. It's all different. Sadness comes from all different angle and depends on the angle where it's coming from. How I deal with it's different.
You pick. You choose
one. Let's say you lost a loved one, someone, and you're sad. Then show some compassion, right? And I understanding it's painful, right? And but losing some family and then just simply sad, it's okay, but sad, and then as soon as I start to feel the attachment, you need to feel sad, or you need to stay in this sadness to justify that I love this person so much. I cannot be happy right away.
It's not appropriate for me to be happy.
Right.
To make that. So there's a decision going on there,
decision,
right? It's a choice.
So it's a choice. I shouldn't be happy and just have fun. I have to stay in.
So maybe let's talk about. Let's say that's me, right? And let's talk about that from first, and then we'll talk about how you respond to it. So like, if I'm deciding,
right,
I'm supposed to be sad to demonstrate that this person was important to me. I empathize or sympathize is more accurate here.
Yeah, and other people would would look at me. I'm a cold person. Like
if I don't,
if I'm not sad. Yeah, if I'm not sad,
but not demonstrably sad.
And they would think that why Paul is not sad and he's fine and he didn't love that person, or he's cold and
why is he joking around?
Yeah, he doesn't have feelings, right? Those judgment, you might be afraid of those judgments, so you are in subconsciously you justifying and you are making a choice to be sad, so you would be accepted.
So there's several things going on there we're talking about. So there's a lack of awareness of my feelings, of the fear of judgment, right? So I want other people to see me in a certain way, so that I'm not being inappropriate, and so I'm afraid of their judgment. So I decide to
be sad.
Right?
That's one.
So that's part of what we're talking about here. And then, so let's take that as example.
I went through this awkward feeling many times. Like me being like, how can I say this? Like I had this psychic feelings like since I was a kid. Wasn't I didn't embrace it till later on. I was just pushing it away, but I always had it. And when people uh, die or when people are dying, sometimes, right, not every time, so sometimes it hits me really hard, especially when I was young. But I feel I feel calm and I feel peaceful sometimes when they're passing. And I felt so awkward. I didn't feel like I fit in because everybody is feeling so sad or angry and just just crying, and I'm like feeling the peace, especially when they're just going to the other side peacefully. I feel that peace, and I feel like I before, like when I was younger, I felt like I was missing something. I I missing some big part of like a feeling, that sad feeling. I'm looks like I'm supposed to feel sad right now because everybody else is feeling sad, and I'm missing something here, like missing a wire or something, because I'm not feeling. I feel like a peaceful, and then peaceful for this person, right? And I felt like, what am I missing? What am I missing? That's just I couldn't figure out for a long time. Now I know that I'm not missing anything. I'm just connecting directly to that person's spirit, and when they're in peace, going to the other side, I'm feeling it, and so I feel peace, right? So that and so I'm talking about this because I felt the judgment. I kind of dealt with it pretty much all my life, like, because I didn't want to pretend that I was sad. That is no. It's like that's not my feeling. I cannot pretend. So usually I leave, right? Because I feel awkward staying there. I leave and I just go outside and, right, just be my, yeah, go by myself. And so because I couldn't just pretend, right? And then I didn't care about judgment. It's just I felt awkward. So but I can see that kind of thing happens, and if you want to fit in, I didn't care if I fit in or not, so I could leave. But people wants to fit in, then they want to be sad to fit in. Everybody's being sad, right? So you're making a choice. I made a choice to leave the room, right? That's another choice. But the people staying here, and that can be really awkward. And then you want to, like, hey, I'm with you, right? So you're making a choice. But that is, you're making a choice to force yourself to attach to yourself to the sadness, unnecessary sadness, right? And so you want to be aware you are sad, and you're just going through, and then just simply going through the process for yourself, or you're doing it to for other reason, right? You want to be aware of that part. It can be tricky, but there's you want to keep asking yourself why I'm doing this, right? Of course, going through sadness for a little while, it's healthy. You want to say goodbye, like physical body, no touching, no hugging, nothing's gonna happen. But so you want to go through process. If you don't go through process, you are bearing feelings, and that creates a different issue, right? But anyway, so being aware if you are sad and for a long period, there's a reason.
So are you switching to who's sad now? Okay. Yeah, I was going to pull you
Long,
back there.
long,
Yeah, I
long
was going to pull you
period.
back there. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure. Thank you.
So if it's like a long and short, it's just
Mhm.
you cannot really put the numbers of
Mhm,
days.
mhm.
So you got to judge yourself here. But then if you feel like it's getting too long, there's some kind of attachment
Mhm.
to be sad, and then you want to ask yourself why I'm subconsciously doing this.
Mhm.
Right? What's my goal
Mhm.
to be this way?
Mhm.
Right? So awareness is aware that you are sad longer than you need to. That's a little bit hard to judge what's longer and what's short, right? But still, you got um, um, you can sense this is not healthy,
Mhm.
right? If you feel that this is not healthy, yes, you've been sad too
Mhm.
long,
Mhm.
right? And then you want to start asking yourself
Mhm.
what's going on,
Mhm.
and that's becoming aware by asking yourself,
Mhm.
right? So that's
So asking myself what's going on, right?
mhm.
And then what from there?
Why,
Yeah.
why I'm sad, why
Yeah.
I'm choosing to be sad,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What I'm gaining being sad,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
What am I gaining? What uh, am I getting help?
Mhm.
Is being sad helping me, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is the awareness, building awareness, becoming more aware by asking yourself those kind of questions,
Mhm.
and then you can find some answers that, oh, I just want to fit in. Other people still sad, and I don't feel like I I'm a cold person. I didn't love this person so much, so I want to show that I am more sad because I loved him so much. I
Mhm.
have to be the one who's saddest, right?
There's that, or there's like the person could have had a tragic life, right?
Mhm.
And now they're gone, and it's
Mhm.
like, so you're kind of you're basically you're afraid that there's something that's been lost and wasted, and that what unless you take some lesson away from this or something, that it could happen again to somebody else that you love. Because you could lose you're afraid you could lose other people in your life the same way, kind of thing, right? So being aware of
So
the
that's
fear there.
connecting to anxiety,
Yeah.
fear of future.
Yeah, exactly. The fear of the negative thing repeating, right? So having awareness of that feeling and then owning it, right? So, okay, so that's what's going on instead of just denying it, right? Because you could do that easily. The critical thing is to own it, and then to decide, okay, like you said, is this helping me, right? Asking that question, and the answer to that inevitably is no, right? The honest answer to that is no. The only thing you get a benefit is to satisfy your self pity, right? And there is a kind of twisted pleasure from that, right? But we have to be. We've talked about this before in the previous episode as well. That you have to be ruthless with yourself, with your self pity, right?
Yeah.
Always be aware of self pity if that's a part of the picture, and if it is, just cut it off. Like self pity does nothing for us, right? Does nothing but a waste of our energy and our life.
Yeah, like
So
and then getting attention.
Yeah.
Right. You might not think so, but because it's in subconscious mind, being sad and you get attention, other people's sympathy, right? And then you don't get attention otherwise, but when by you being sad and people, it's okay, we'll hug you, right? Those kind of things, you get extra attention, and then it feels good. Sometimes you want that hug. Yeah, that's going through a process.
Yeah, I'm not saying
right?
having a hug is wrong.
Yeah.
Or you know, in a way honoring the experience in a shared way with other people. There's nothing wrong with that. Because there's a grieving process. When you lose somebody, that's natural and normal.
You are receiving hugs and it helps you. Like this helps you, then great, right? Somebody hugs you and it helps you. But if you use and being sad to receive hugs, right? Then you are attached to this sadness. You are using this sadness to get more attention.
That attention is energy, and so you're actually being an energy vampire in that situation. That's something that's nobody should
healthy.
Want to go down that road. There's. Should we say more about that, or?
I don't know. So yeah, just being aware. What's your why you're sad? Ask questions, right? And so that's your side. If you are feeling sad. And
I do know. Yeah, I just remembered what I want to ask you about. That is how do you deal with that? If I'm in that space, how do you deal with that?
So like the first stage, if you simply processing, right? And I can
support. From grieving and processing, that's natural and normal.
Natural, right? If you're in a natural state and stage that you're going through, it's healthy, and now I can support you, then that's okay. And do you want this? Do you want a little hug? You want this, right? You want to be alone, or you want me to be with you, right? Those kind of things I can support. But as soon as you pass the stage and I start to sense that you are clinging to this sadness, and now motivation is changed.
The self-pity. Then it can switch into self-pity.
And then I'll be like,
So my job then is to be aware of that point, right? So to be aware of that what I'm feeling is natural grieving, and honoring that person, right? That I've lost something in my life that was significant to me. That's okay to recognize and honor it, because that person had provided value to your life and everything. But then, like you're saying, my job is to be aware of that transition of when the time has come to close the book on that, to go through whatever rituals and giving myself space that I need to process. Great. But then there's a point, and there's no way to really arbitrarily. You just know it. You just know.
It's not like in 1 week you are transitioning. It everybody is different, right? So there's no this is the line, deadline. So now you switch. There's no clear line, so you kind of have to. And then it's not like a day and night you switch, right? It's more gradual.
And that knowing is knowing the feeling of self-pity. That's the key. Is if you pay attention to it, you can if you don't know it already, then you can learn it. It is a skill. And so as soon as that transition is just showing itself, then the appropriate thing to do is to switch. But if I don't, then how do you proceed from there?
So it's how we kind of want to have an example, but let's say you lost someone, same one, you've been sad.
My friend, like
you lost a friendship.
I lost a friendship.
So
not that long ago. Because we had a very different view of looking at things.
That one you didn't really cling on to, maybe a little bit. A little bit. So the first week or so, and I was supportive, and it's okay. you just chose different path,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine. You cannot control that person.
Yeah, we had a big
right?
disagreement, is what happened.
Yeah, so you cannot control, but that person, you all you can control is yourself, how to deal with it, and you have a life here, and you have a choice to enjoy your life,
Mm-hmm.
right? And those kind of things we talked about it, and then being supportive, and then after that you still having trouble. I that in that case I reminded you, right? It's okay. It's okay. Yes, you had long, great relationship. He was the, you can say, the longest relationship, deepest relationship, and one person.
Mm-hmm.
And then you lost the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was really painful. And then I understand that, but you could get mad toward that person, right?
Oh, I did for a bit.
Yeah,
So there was
you
a
were mad,
disagreement.
yeah, because disagreement and
Mm-hmm.
not understanding each other. That's why you took different paths,
Mm-hmm.
and so you got mad, and like, does it help you getting mad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you feel right now? You're just mad. Is it helping you, right, or affecting you with your work? Right, just a little reminder that that's probably all I did, because you knew, but you went back to getting mad many times. But
Yeah, it
that
was a yo-yo for a while.
hmm
Yeah.
so and then maybe there was time, maybe you can get back and
Mm-hmm.
talk, right? And you tried many times, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe we can talk again.
I tried and tried to come up with a different angle.
Yeah,
No.
and then every time it wasn't success. So every time you go down even deeper or more mad and those kind of thing, and it's like that one, a little reminder, a little reminder. That's how I supported through, and then you were okay. You had this awareness toward this kind of situation. So just a reminder was okay. And when you were um, kept getting mad, and I sometimes I get tired giving you a reminder, right? It's mad. Talking about it like last week, and it's mad, and it's like, I'm gonna stay away,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you were saying, like you have a mouse trap, and come here, right? Come here. Let's do something together. No, I see it. I already feel that poke or just push from back to put me into the cage, and then no, I'll stay out, right? So sometimes when that reminder doesn't help, and you choose to stay in the mad feeling, stay in anger, you chose many times you chose to be angry with him or at him. um, I was like, okay, you're choosing it. You can choose it. I cannot just always redirect every time. You gotta make a choice, and then you get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You learn by getting hurt,
Mm-hmm.
right? I cannot just
Mm-hmm.
be your wheels to take you
Yeah,
everywhere.
you've never ever tried to control.
No,
So
that's not.
you only say, these are my rules. This is what I can what I can live with, and you own your space, and you're encouraging me to own my own, right?
Mhm.
And that's it, right?
Mhm.
It's not you fixing me.
Yeah,
You never fix me.
No,
Yeah.
I never take you out of this,
Mhm.
like a holding a mouse trap,
Mhm.
right? Waiting for mouse to come,
Mhm.
right? I can show you, yeah, you don't need this mouse trap. You can just get rid of it and you can come out. I'm not dragging you. I
Mhm.
never drag you. I
No,
never,
you're never forced. You
I never destroy your mouse trap.
Mhm.
Like I pointed at that this is a mouse trap. I don't like it. You don't need it. You can get rid of it. You can choose to keep it, but I'm not gonna come in.
You actually even also offered, here's ways you can get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you go that far, and I would ask for that from you too,
Mhm.
because I at times I knew I needed help.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I was probably asking for not necessarily the best reason, but I think usually I did. But not bad. So
And sometimes mouse trap doesn't look like a mouse trap.
mhm.
It doesn't look like mouse trap to you.
No,
right?
it looks like
mousetrap.
relationship to me.
It's yeah, it's
It
like
looks
a
like
love.
we're in this together,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
you know, this is what relationship is supposed to be,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And but it's dysfunctional,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not aware of that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's because
So
there was
sometimes I have to peel. Do you see it? It's
Yeah.
under this pink blanket.
yeah
It's actually a trap
Yeah.
here.
yeah
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you put it in here? I didn't put it. So tell me, did you put it in here? No, you put it in there. It was there already.
That never happened.
Those kind of thing, right? So, cause you don't see it, and then but I'll explain, and then I point out and being aware, and I have a choice to go in and
So
get
there's
trapped.
there's the awareness, and we're joking around there a little bit about the sometimes reluctance to take ownership
Mm-hmm.
but I did eventually own
Mhm.
up to it, right?
Mhm.
Whatever that was, that was, and then there's next step
Mm-hmm.
is
Take ownership
Mhm.
of your feelings.
once I take ownership of it
Mm-hmm.
and understand that this belongs to me.
Mm-hmm.
So you have helped me
Mm-hmm.
to come up with ways. I've asked you, like I said, for how to get rid of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let's say it's the sadness thing where we're talking about,
Mhm.
because I don't think we finished
Mhm.
that exactly.
Okay.
So there I am. I'm sad over losing my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I own it. Okay. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I was blaming him for a while, which I
Mhm.
was,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I did own it after a while,
Mm-hmm.
and once I settled down.
Own it means like you owning a feeling. It's not he gave you.
Exactly. Yes.
He gave you.
It's my
the
choice.
sadness.
That's owning it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my choice.
Mm-hmm.
And that also so that's the anger part. We talked about that
Mhm.
before, but then also the sadness part,
Mhm.
right? So you did point it out to me, I think, at one point there, and that I did. I'm not sure how much I resisted on that sadness. I don't have as much trouble
Mm-hmm.
with anymore. I did go through depression, so that was a big deal in the past. So in the past, it was very hard for me to. I'll flip to a different situation in the past there, because in that one it wasn't as hard.
Mm-hmm.
But in the past, what I would do is that things that were negative and unpleasant and sad and tragic in my life, in some way,
you felt sad.
that's why I would feel sad, and I would I would feel the pull of like this seemingly inescapable negative outcome, no matter which way I turn, and everything's down and bad, right? And I would indulge in self-pity.
That is self-pity.
That is, so the trap there is self-pity. So
if you are not sad, you some part of you feel that you are letting go of all the negative past. You are letting them free, right? You are like a letting go, like a forgetting, like it didn't happen, right? Those kind of thing, it's there, so you don't want to let go. You don't, that things happen as things happen, and it's negative, and
Because of the attachment.
yeah, there's attachment,
Yeah.
and I cannot. The things they did is bad, right? So to stay sad, you are proving, right, that they did bad things to you.
Correct.
If you are
So I'm
happy,
proving the case to myself.
yeah,
So that goes to this one. Actually, we got it here. Sound perfect. Is this is being honest about your motivations, what's your goal, and
yeah,
being
your
right.
motivation.
So if you dwell on it, if you dwell on this negative thing and how I lost a friend, right? I could be dwelling on it being his fault, right?
Yeah,
his fault.
and he is wrong, I am right.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I am right, and unless he agrees that he was wrong and I'm right, I cannot be happy, because right, because I do care to be right, kind of thing. Right. So yeah, that's the motivation is being right. Right. Your past, like you went to depression, that heavy sadness, they did wrong. And I didn't do anything wrong. They did wrong, so many wrong things. If I'm happy here, that can disappear. Like it's like they didn't do anything, right? So me being sad is proving
it's proving that they did wrong to me, and that I deserve sympathy, whether I'm getting it or not, and that there's a trap there of dwelling on that self-pity, and and I think you were trying to touch on it, but it deserves a little more emphasis, I think, is attachment there, right? So if we are able to step back a little bit from those situations, and if I'm able to let go of my friend, right? So he's not, and ultimately, it's not mine. I mean, this is my friend, that phrase, right? But he's not mine. He's his own person, right? As much of a part of my life that he was, right? And how important he was to me for so many years, that the situation came up where that time had come to an end. Because he had made choices, I'd made choices, and those were mutually incompatible. And we saw the world differently at that point, and it became very dramatically clear how deep that ran. And so at a point there, when I was sad, I needed to come to the awareness. So I needed the awareness of, so I needed to be aware of my feelings, and I needed to be honest about them and own them. So I needed to own what's going on, and I needed to let go of my attachment. I don't have a thing up for that, but that's so I can add that in here. But letting go of attachment is so huge.
Whatever
with
the
relationship,
is
right?
Toward.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you want a successful relationship, we can't be attached. As close as you and I are, I don't think we have that much. I mean,
I don't like that.
Yeah. So I think we're pretty careful about that.
My antenna is sensing any attachment. If I sense attachment toward anything toward me, like that. Sorry, I'm out. So even between us, if I sense attachment, like I'm out. I'm not doing this. Sorry. Right. Whatever that is.
Oh, I know. And I mean, there's a very big part of me too that no, I don't like that. So so that's critical to have a healthy relationship is to do so without attachment. So in other words, if I decide, okay, I love you, or I like you, or whatever, right? If I'm putting a condition on that you need to do certain things, you need to be a certain way for me, so that I can have a gap filled in my life that I can't be happy unless those things are filled up, right?
I
So
love
unless
you
you
and you expect
satisfy,
the other person to love you back.
and to demonstrate it and to prove it and to take you out on take me out on Valentine's Day, or by the way around, but you know what I mean. All those kind of things. So if you that kind of list that we have that people tend to have of okay, the person needs to like sports, right, or needs to be fit and needs to look a certain way and needs to understand me, right, and needs to do all of these things for me, then that's going to be that to me that's a recipe for disaster, right? Because first of all, that's making the relationship all about me, right? And that kind of misses the point, right? Relationship is really it's a dynamic where we interact with each other and we benefit each other, right? So that if I'm making this list, I'm right away I'm saying this is about me, right? That you need to be there and do all these things for me. That's making it about me, right?
It's a little bit confusing. It's like that. It's okay to be about yourself, but I'm looking at different perspectives.
I know how you're saying. So let's talk about that. Let's break that down, right? So like I know how you see things, that you're making a choice because you want to. So in other words, you're owning the choice and you're making a choice to do something because you want to do it. Like engage in a relationship, right?
So it's about me.
So then therefore it's about you.
Yeah.
But that's based on a different foundation. So maybe we can figure that out here, because actually we've never had this conversation before.
Well, we have,
but if I'm making the relationship all about me to satisfy my desires, that's different. The underlying motivation is different.
It's so it's that you have the agenda.
Yeah, an agenda.
And then so agenda, it's about agenda. It's not about you. It's about you created something and then you're trying to fit other people into this agenda. Right? To me, it's outside source, that it's not you, but something that you created. That's your attachment, that's your expectation, that's your agenda, and it's something here, not in here.
Well, not in your heart, but
not in your heart.
I guess it's all up in your head. Yeah, right?
It's in your head.
So
your agenda, your expectation, that is for other people to meet your expectation. No, you can't control other people. It's a recipe for disaster, because it's your agenda. It's not other people's agenda. That is totally different. So
it's entirely selfish.
So
that's very different than doing it for yourself, for you being honest about your choices. That's not a selfish motivation. That's owning the responsibility of the choices you make, right? And I don't know how much further I can take that, but that's, to me, that's the essential difference there, right? So I know what you were saying before, it was confusing because it's about me, kind of thing, but the underlying motivations are completely different. So one, I believe, is so I know this. If you're basing it on on owning it and making choices based on what you want, then those are healthy motivations. Whereas if it's all about me and my desires and my agenda and my selfishness, that's not real relationship. That's just manipulating other people, right? So very different. The wording gets a little confusing sometimes, but yeah.
So yeah, hopefully it's gets a little bit clear what we're talking about. So we to summarize, if I can summarize, to have a healthy relationship, being aware of making choices and letting go of attachment, like the last part we were talking about attachment of your expectation and agenda, right? You make a choice and then nobody force you, they try to force you to make choices. That happens all the time. There are people manipulate and people worry about you, people love you, and that's why they do this, and then you feel like you have no choice. But it's like
that's manipulation.
Yeah, that's manipulation, and then you trying to follow that can be passive manipulation, right? Like
can be, yes.
Codependent,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So they are trying to control. So I will be controlled to satisfy their what agenda or expectation. So I'm gonna take this part to be controlled, right? And they're happy, and that's
like dominance and submission kind of stuff, and it's unhealthy relationship.
Yeah, unhealthy relationship. So and then it's like I say I love you because I want to hear her saying I love you too, right? That's an agenda, right? And then you are co-depending on that person to support you because you need to hear these words that I love you too, right? And then that's unhealthy relationship. Those are all attachment. All of them are attachment, and if you have attachment, you cannot have a healthy relationship. It's gonna get unbalanced. You want to have a healthy relationship with you by owning your life completely, owning your life, like owning your feelings, owning, like be responsible of your choices instead of, oh, I have to do this, right? Own your choices, every single one, 35,000 a day, every single day you're making the choices. Own those things, and then
at least the ones that you can be aware of, because 35,000 that's a lot to be aware of in the day. That a lot of those I think are like, when do I turn in traffic kind of thing. Those are choices as well, right?
Should I hit snooze
as
or
important
not?
as those are. They only matter in that moment. You don't need to be aware of them ongoing, but the choices that have to do with relationship, those are ongoing, so those do matter. Right? Yeah. And there are other choices do as well, but
so if you can go in deeper with those subconscious choices, you can train yourself to be aware, right? Catch yourself, why I'm always doing this, right?
Oh, that's a whole different subject, and that's super important.
So
but
that's the fun. If you want to go that way, it's gonna be fun, right? And then it's like you are breaking your subconscious pattern, and then you're gonna open up
Mhm.
the something that it's been closed for a long time,
Mhm.
and just by breaking your pattern that happens. So it's a fun one, but start with something that you are aware, and but you want to intentionally um, become aware, right? Stop yourself and why I'm doing this instead of just going with
And
the
it's a
flow.
process, and you have to be gentle with yourself to allow yourself to mess up. Because for myself,
Yeah,
healing
you
from the
cannot.
PTSD, there was
Yeah.
it was not possible because of subconscious, the trauma that was imprinted on my subconscious made it impossible for me to not be anxious. Simply, straight up.
Not to be angry.
Made it impossible, and then that made it impossible for me to avoid the anger, right? But it's a domino effect. So learning to become aware took time and a lot of patience from my partner, who's told me a lot of patience and forgiveness and all that kind of stuff. So it's be gentle on yourself. Is all I wanted to say there, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
can't expect that to turn around. I think you kind of summarized pretty much.
I
there.
tried.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So it's kind of covered a lot of ground. It's kind of hard to summarize today, and that's okay. Yeah, I mean, if so many of us have those unconscious tendencies that are pushing us towards codependency, lack of awareness, attachment, being just having that fear driving us into all these other directions that doesn't help, right? And all the things that we talked about today. That if we're feeling always like we want to go a different way, but we're kind of something's kind of always shoving us over the other way, right? Then that is the hallmark of a subconscious belief. That's a subconscious program that's pushing us one way when we want to go another. And if you want to fix that, there's many ways to do it, but it can be done very effectively and quickly through the techniques that we use through Sakuso, right? So if you want to move past those and not be frustrated by this kind of stuff, and move through it quickly, then you can just go to our website and schedule a breakthrough session. Where's that link there? There it is. There we go. Looking for that link. So just come to our website, schedule a breakthrough. It's free, and we'll talk to you about that situation and help you work through it and let it go. And thanks for stopping by today. We'll see you next week on Aether, right here, 4 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. You being part of this whole thing. And so please like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next week right here on Aether, 4 p.m. Eastern. Take care, everyone. Bless you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you next week.